and welcome to this episode of the Sunday Sum Up. Thank you for taking the time. It's been a while since I've been on. There's been a few things going on here at the house. As you can see behind me, if you're watching the video, the backdrop is a little bit different. I rearranged my office and made it more of an office for myself. You know, I really didn't like the layout before. And shout out to Normie wife. She has been going buck wild with the paintbrush, just painting everything up. So this room's been repainted, new curtains, got a few new furniture items around. Yeah, some things around here. We're not done in this room, but yeah, it's she's been doing such an awesome job. The place looks great. But yeah, I've been kind of just preoccupied with work. My job is I really like my job. Actually, I'm probably one of the few people that can say that. I think most people they go to their job, and some people just hate their job. I've been in jobs that I've hated. So, I feel bad for those people who are in that situation, but I actually really like my job. I enjoy going to work. And it's getting more and more busy, and I like it. I enjoy being occupied all day long. I enjoy, just having projects and deadlines and things like that. I do not like when days just drag on, when there's not much to do, like a slow day. So when things get busy at work, it's really a good thing for me. But it kind of takes a lot out of me mentally. I'm doing more stuff at work, so when I get home, I find myself more drained, not just physically and stuff from the physical work, but just the mental stuff. I get home, I just want to chill, and it's been kind of just, I don't know, kind of in a funk. Also, when I don't record, like if I miss a week, going back the week after, for some reason, I have that sort of personality where the longer I'm away from something, I really have a hard time going back to it. And this is something that I really enjoy doing. I still love cutting these videos, talking about games, talking about movies. It's fun. I just love doing this. But I just had this little tick in my brain. When I stop doing something, I just have trouble getting back into it. But other than that, though, things are going good. I hope you're doing well. I have some things here to talk about. I'm thinking I might start splitting up and doing two different sort of shorter podcasts. One with film and TV shows and things like that, Hollywood, and then another with just talking about video games. I think maybe splitting it up might be better, because there are more things going on in Hollywood right now than gaming. Gaming is really slow. Like the summer, if you're not a gamer, the summer months are always it's always a drought usually from about May through basically May through August. Now August, it starts to pick up. Games usually start coming back out. You have your big fall titles showing up, but it's just been slow. Like there really hasn't been much to talk about. I watch YouTube on a daily basis, and even the podcasts that I watch and listen to, and the creators that I watch, there's just there's a lot of stuff to talk about in the Hollywood side, but just gaming side, which is more my thing, there just hasn't been much to really talk about. So I don't feel like I'm missing much. I don't feel like, even when I was putting my notes together for this week, I was thinking, oh crap, I got to go back and catch up on so many things. And I sat down and started looking at my notes that I keep, because I always keep my phone. I just keep like a little section of my notes, and I see a video or something, or I see a story, I'm like, ooh, let me see what's going on, and then I'll make a note of it. I really didn't have that many notes. I was really shocked. So really, there's not much to go in on the gaming side. There's a few things to talk about. It's just kind of slow, and probably I got to start looking at the games that are coming out, because I would like to start talking about that. Just sort of go over what's coming out, what's been announced. A little more newsy, like I'm not a reporter. I don't have insiders, and I would never want to do that. I just like just talking. I just like giving my opinion. So let's get into this. Per usual, we'll go through the TV stuff, movie stuff first. I still haven't finished Maverick. I got to go back and watch that. Normie wife just asked me about that, actually. She's like, are we ever going to go see that and finish that movie? And I've just been preoccupied. I just really haven't it's been sort of out of sight, out of mind. I want to go see it. And it's still banging. I think it hit like 1.3 billion. So that movie's still just killing it. So good for that, and good for them. I did finish watching The Terminal List with Chris Pratt. Really good show. I highly recommend that show. If you like sort of, military sort of spy thriller, I think that's what the category it falls in. You'll definitely like this. Chris Pratt, I think, does a really good job. Um, I think the last time when I talked about this, it's been so long. I think all I had left was the finale. The finale was good. It wasn't great. It wasn't fantastic. It was good though. They stuck the landing, but there were some things that, um, on just the, oh god, sort of that, the unrealistic shit where it's like things happen that were really, really unrealistic. Like, and the movie has been, well, the show had been doing a really good job of maintaining that level of sort of, sorry about that, sort of accuracy with like the military, just the way they operate and stuff. I thought it felt really good. It felt tight. But the ending, the landing just wasn't stuck for me. It had a good ending. We'll see if there's a season 2. I think it got greenlit already. Still think it's it's a show worth watching, but there were just some pieces that I just wasn't a huge fan of, but still liked it. Still watching Cobra Kai. We're actually we're about to watch the season 3 finale. The show is doing such a great job, and I'm glad that it didn't fall off so far. I know season 4, I have one more season to watch to be totally caught up. But so far, it's just been a show that has that thing. It has that feeling. Like at the end of every episode, they do such a good job of drawing you into the next episode. It's a very bingeable show. And I don't like to binge watch. I really don't. But this show has that thing, like, which as soon as the episode ends, I'm like, oh, gotta see the next one. But I'm really liking it. The callbacks, I think the callbacks they're done as best as they can possibly be done. There's tons of callbacks to the first 3 movies. The characters, I mean, they keep bringing characters back in, and I'm in season 3 now, and I'm not going to spoil anything because I know people are still watching it. I know my sister and my brother-in-law, they're watching it, and I know I got them hooked on it, but I don't want to spoil anything, but the characters that they reveal, they're really good, and when they show up, it's just like it kind of warms your heart, like you see these old faces, and when I say old, I mean they're old now because they're old like me, but I mean it's like 30 years ago when those movies came out. So to have those characters come back, they're doing such a fantastic job. The acting, I think it's good. I don't think it's not like, some deep, character acting and like building and like, method acting. It's just a fun show. It's just a fun show to watch. The acting is good. It's quality enough. The fight scenes are quality enough. And I got to say this, it's so funny because, there are things about the fight scenes that I could nitpick, but I respect the way they are shooting the fight scenes. Most modern movies and TV shows, specifically with lazy ass actors that they don't want to grind for 6 months of just conditioning, with like a martial arts trainer. They don't have to go out, and I'm not saying they have to be a black belt before they, step in front of a camera, but you can always tell, at least I can, when actors are not ready for the fight choreography. They're slow, they're kind of clunky, and that's just half of it. The things that I think really give it away is when they smash cut, just constantly cut, where you'll never see the hero do a full move where it's like or for a full combination with like punches and kicks or grapples in one shot, before it cuts. It's always 3-4 cuts for one punch. Like you see them draw back, cut, and you see the view from over their shoulder, so it looks like they hit somebody, then cut, then you see the other person from the backside, and then cut again, and then you see them fall down, and then you cut again. It just cut, like there's like 5 cuts within 2 or 3 seconds of time, just because they can't do the actual fight. And it's so obvious to me, and I just, there's so many so many movies and TV shows that I think are trash. I think of like Hawkeye. The fight choreography in that show was just, it was the worst. It was like comically bad. So Cobra Kai, to me, they actually do a good job of, you can see the actors actually performing a full move. It isn't like Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan, it's not Jet Li or, what's his name, Tommy Jaa. It's not nothing crazy like that, but it's still, they're at least trying, and you can see that they're working, and that's always good. I always appreciate that when it comes to fight choreography. So I think it's good. It's good enough. And just, the story itself, they're doing a really good job of weaving the web of everyone's characters. The some of the plot conveniences, they're there, they're like, you can see them, but the characters are just so interesting. Like the villains, they're fun to hate. Like they're characters I genuinely don't like, and that means that's a good character. They're heroes, or protagonists that I'm rooting for. I want to see them win. That's good writing. That's good character building. So, totally recommend it. If you haven't watched Cobra Kai, I think it's a good show. The next thing we're watching, I think we're what are we on? Episode. I think we're on episode 6, or we just finished episode 6 of Stranger Things. So I've seen a few. I haven't watched any spoilers. I haven't watched any reviews or anything like that because I don't want anything spoiled. But I have seen titles of like creators that I like, that I listen to, and they seem to really like it. It seems to be a popular show right now. I'm not a huge fan. I'm just going to say it right now. I do want to say something. I want to correct something I said. The character, I forgot to write his name down, but the character's name is Argyle, but the guy who plays him, his hair is real. That is his real hair. I actually looked it up because I legit thought this dude's hair was fake, but it's real. So I want to make sure that's clear. That's awesome. The dude's got some badass hair. He's got some really long, cool hair. Shit goes like all the way down to his belt. It's pretty badass. But I just wanted to correct that. But his character in general, like getting back to the show, his character sucks. His character is not funny. It's very annoying. Robin's character is very annoying, unfunny. I feel like the show is just sort of buckling under the weight of so many characters. And I don't know what or why they decided to lengthen the episode, like the time of each episode. Like the first 3 or 4 episodes are only like 55 minutes, 60 minutes, which that's fine. That's normal. Now, the last episode we watched was it was like an hour and 20 minutes, or an hour and 22 minutes. And then the last one we watched, I think, was like an hour and a half. And the one before that was like an hour and 20 minutes. Regardless, I just kind of skipped ahead just to kind of see the season finale is like 2.5 hours long. That is a feature film. Who thought that was a good idea? I do not. It's too long. Like, they're way too long, and I feel like the episodes are padded out. Like, some things take so long to get through, and it's really nothing. So too many times where I'm watching the show, and it's like, it's a cool plot. There's something that's happening that I am definitely interested in, but it's being strung out over so much time. And just a lot of exposition and sort of meandering. It just feels like they're padding out the show. And this last episode, Jesus, we were watching it, and I don't know, like 2 or 3 times, there was something big happened, and it felt like, oh, this is the end of the episode. And then, boom, goes to another scene, and we see some more shit. Then it builds up, and it's like, oh, okay, there's the end. Nope, I got some more to go. Another 5-10 minutes, and that's never good. Like, when I feel that way about a show or a movie, when you're sitting there watching anything and you're like thinking it's the end and then it's not, and you're let down, that's bad. That's always a bad feeling for me. The like I said, the plot and the story, it's good, but it feels way too padded. And just the acting has definitely gotten better. And I think the characters are doing more, but there's just too many characters. I just don't think they have the chops to flesh out each one of those characters to a point where you feel really invested. I mean, I don't feel super invested in there are some characters that I like, but you look at certain characters, there's 3 or 4 characters from the original cast from season 1 that are absolutely doing nothing. And it sucks because those are the reasons they're the characters and the reason why I watch the show. You know, I fell in love with that season 1 and the first cast and everything, and I think each season has had major problems since season 1. This one, I just feel like they're really trying to bring in these newer characters. They've already added characters from previous seasons, and they're all still here. And I think the show, I think one of the things that this show is doing is, which is to me is a cardinal sin for writing, particularly a series, movies, whatever, but a series that is afraid to kill off main characters. That's a weakness to me. I think that is a writing mistake. It's a creative mistake because you have to know that there's real stakes. And so far, there's been a couple of fake outs where it's like you really think someone's in danger and then they're not. You know, it's like it sucks. And I saw that happening last season. And then, you know, if you haven't seen last season, that you know, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the ending of last season left you with, you know, some like the finale left you with some emotional weight. And then there was a post-credit scene like that canceled it out completely. And that was when I knew. When that happened in season 3, at the end of season 3, I was like, okay, these people, they're afraid to kill off anybody prominent. And they're all prominent at this point. All the characters are very, well, the original cast. You know, I'd say season 1 for sure, all of those characters. Season 2, not so much. I mean, they kind of grew the cast some, but now the characters that are in this season, the ones who came from season 3, season 2, season 1, they're prominent characters. And it sucks because it's like if one of them were to, you know, die, something tragic were to happen, it would be impactful, it would be very emotional, but I think they're just too afraid to do that. They don't want to turn people off. And I think it's a total mistake. One of the things, and I was talking about this with Normie wife, one of the things that I compared it to, and I may have mentioned this before, but you know, one of the great things about a show like Game of Thrones season 1 through 5 is that it wasn't afraid to kill prominent characters. You never knew who was going to be alive at the end of the season. You just didn't know. After season 1, it was like, okay, all bets are off. Anything can happen, and anything did. This show, I think, would really benefit if we had a couple of in memory ofs. There was a couple of headstones in, what's it called? I forgot the town. Jeez, I can't think of the name of the town they live in. Anyways, Hawkins, yeah. If there was a couple of headstones in Hawkins of the characters from season 1, season 2, or 3, or whatever, I think the show would be much more, it would have more of an impact with me. And I don't know, I feel like no one's in danger ever. Every time I see a tense or, you know, a somewhat scary, you know, moment. And this season, I will say this, they're driving more into the horror, and I love it. I really appreciate that. I think we kind of missed out on that in was it season 3? Yeah, I think it was season 3. Season 2 for sure. Season 2, I think, was a total bust, but them sort of getting back to a little more of a horror, tense, even the jump scares. I'm not a big jump scare guy, but I think they're done, you know, pretty well. And I really appreciate that. It's just there's no stakes. At least I don't feel like it. I mean, we're halfway through the season. I think we have, I don't even remember. I think we have 3 or 4 episodes to go. And I'm just like, you know, who's gonna live? Everyone's gonna live, right? So we'll see. Maybe I'll come on here in a week and it'll be totally different. I'll be like, oh my God, can you believe it? All right. So anyways, yeah, to wrap that up, sorry. I think the show it's good. I don't think it's trash, but it's not, I'm not like drooling over it. I'm not like, oh, I can't wait to watch the next episode. The last 2 episodes, when the episodes ended, I was like, okay, dang, that was long. That was too long. And both of us, Normie wife and I, were both like, what did you think? Oh, it's too long. We both said it like almost, you know, simultaneously. And I think I think they could actually cut the episodes that we've seen. They could have cut them into like 42-minute episodes or 45-minute episodes, and it would have been just fine. They could have done it, but they just padded it out. So, anyways, check it out. Um, Next thing I wanted to talk about, and I think this is another reason why I want to kind of sorry, got a little itch here in my eyeball. Um, One of the reasons why I'm thinking I want to split up the, the Hollywood news and TV stuff, and then have the gaming news, or the gaming opinions, I should say. It's not really news, but talking about gaming on two different podcasts. Pardon me. Is there is more things going on the Hollywood side, and this next topic, it's not really a topic. It's just the She-Hulk trailer. The final trailer came out, and there was a big announcement at San Diego Comic-Con, and I haven't watched it. I really don't care. To me, the MCU is just stagnant. It's boring. It's agenda. It's all the shit that I don't really like with Hollywood right now. But the big thing is they're announcing that they finished Phase 4, and they announced all the Phase 5 shows. I looked at the list. I think I have it. Let me see real quick So I swear I saw. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. So they have this. Was it 12? 12 titles here. And when I didn't watch any videos on Comic-Con, I had no interest in it really. But I did see videos popping up and how they were announcing Phase 5. Like Phase 4, to me, Phase 4 was a complete shit show. Everything about Phase 4 sucked to me. You may really like it. You may be a big fan of the MCU. I'm not. And one of the reasons, and I was thinking about this, one of the reasons I think the movies and the shows that they're doing over there at Disney right now, I think the reason why is because they're really getting into like a mass production style. Marvel movies have always sort of had they had their tropes, and there was a lot of Marvel movies that were genuinely just sort of, they were kind of the same, in a way. But they were done in a way that was interesting. It was fun because the special effects were top notch. The fight, the fight choreography, like the superhero choreography, was really strong. The characters were really strong. And I really think that, since 2016, since Hollywood just totally just blanked out of existence, and now they're just on another planet. They always have been, but they really showed their true colors after 2016. But I really feel like what they're doing is just like mass producing, like assembly line type movies and shows. And furthermore, they are handing all of the keys to these shows and movies to amateurs. You can just go down the list of shows that they've released over the last, I don't know how many years Phase 4 was it 2017, I think. I think that was Endgame. Regardless. So it's been 4 or 5 years for this Phase 4. Every one of the shows, let me take that back. I say every one, and then someone's going to be like, oh, what about so-and-so? Majority of the shows and the movies, the content that they've been making have been made by amateurs, made by, writers and directors who have no credentials whatsoever. Everyone's got to get their foot in the door at some point, and I can totally respect that. But you can tell it's amateur hour, just by watching Hawkeye alone, just that one show, watching it, it was so bad. It was so bad. And it isn't just the MCU, obviously. Disney's, and, they hold all the cards right now. And it's funny because they have so many IP, and they are just ruining and squandering every single one of them, in my opinion. Star Wars is no different. Star Wars to me is a joke, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But, they are, the quality of the shows, like Kenobi, like when I watched Kenobi, holy shit, was that bad. Like, just the worst acting, the worst writing, the worst everything. It was just terrible. It was so bad. It was, I mean, I just, if you watch Kenobi, or you watch, let's just say Hawkeye. Let's stick with the MCU. If you watch Hawkeye, and then you go back and you watch Iron Man, the first one in 2008, or you go back and you watch The Winter Soldier, or you go back and watch Infinity War, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, the quality level is just that shit is like Shakespeare compared to what's going on right now. And I think more and more people, there's not as many normies sleepwalking, like there just isn't. I've said this and I'll say it till this channel, I end it, or it gets, taken from me. I'm a normie, and I have no problem being a normie. Like that's a badge of honor for me. I'm not a comic book reader. I'm not a comic book buyer. I might I might actually become a comic book reader because of the Ripperverse, but that's a totally different different conversation. That's a story in and of itself. And I think Young Rippa, Eric July, he's badass. I like that guy. I think that being a normie, there was a time when I just consumed everything. Whatever was put in front of me. If it said Star Wars, your boy was eating. Okay. Now, since I kind of woke up to the bullshit, they don't have me on the hook anymore. And I feel more than ever like a paying customer. And I really think that's what separates the sleepwalkers from the people that are awake. And there are normies out there just like me who, they're just, regular Joes, not hardcore fans of anything, just regular fans, and they're tired of it. And I think the box office has proved that. You look at Top Gun, and then you look at Thor: Love and Thunder. You look at what's going on there. You can see the numbers, and they had 2020 to hide behind forever. They were using that. I mean, some people are still using that excuse. I see it more in gaming now more than ever. And there's this like 2020 excuse, and like you do realize that was 2.5 years ago, and everything's kind of pretty much back to normal. And anyone who's hanging on to 2020 needs to loosen the grip and move on. But I think that there's just more and more people that are awake, more and more normies, I should say, that are awake. There's not as many normies sleepwalking to the theater, sleepwalking to the couch to just sit and consume the garbage that's out there. And I think that, sorry, I got an itch on my wrist. I think that I think that this is coming to an end. I really do. I think that the genre is fizzling out. I heard this on another channel. I heard this over on Nerdrotic. He said this, and it just stuck. It was a good line. Hollywood is where trends go to die. And that is a very apt description. Because it wasn't long ago, really it wasn't. It was 5 years ago when superhero movies were just hot, on fire. Everyone was going to see them. Everyone was an MCU fan. Everyone was wearing the shirt. Your boy was wearing the shirts, And that just died so quickly. And you see what Disney's doing, you see what they're doing with the MCU. It's just like, man, they're just putting it out to pasture. And this can't go on. And I truly think, I really do. I think that they'll never release the viewership numbers of D+. And you can see the numbers at the box office. They're falling off. And, normies are the majority. We just are. When you lose the majority, you're going to lose your numbers. You're going to lose the dollars. And they're going to have to correct. At some point, all of the trash that they've been shoveling out, it's going to come back and bite them in the ass. And they're going to have to shift gears. They will. If they want to sustain, the 1% lifestyle that they have, they're going to have to shift gears and go in a different direction. And I really do think that's going to happen. But anyways, let's get back to this. I was just looking at the titles here. I don't even know some of these, like Quantumania. I think that's the Ant-Man movie. I can't read it. It's kind of really, this shot is like actually really small. Maybe I can make it bigger. Can I? No, I can't. So anyways, So Quantumania, which I believe is Ant-Man. Then you have Echo, who is the Hawkeye quote unquote villain. I believe that's who that is. Echo. Get. Blade. Come on. To redo Blade, I mean, Wesley Snipes killed it already. I can't imagine what kind of trash they're gonna throw out there. You have Daredevil, Born Again. I think that's what it says. What? I don't. Okay. Then you have Secret Invasion. Don't know. Loki season 2, which season 1, I've seen clips. I've watched breakdowns. I've watched in-depth breakdowns of that show. Wow, that shit's trash. Ironheart, no idea. Captain America: New World Order. Oh boy, when I saw that shit, I was like, "You, wow, it's just in your face." They're not even. They really aren't hiding anymore. They're they're right in front of you. All you gotta do is look. You just pay attention just a little bit, and once you start seeing things like that, like New World Order, when you start seeing, you'll start paying attention more. It's blatant. It's obvious. It's right in front of our faces. Just open your eyes. Guardians of the Galaxy. See what happens with that one. I don't know. The Marvels, which they already changed. That was supposed to be Miss Marvel or Captain. Was it Captain Marvel? Whatever the hell her name was. Her second movie, and they had to change it because Brie Larson is she's a train wreck. Like not like personally or anything. She seems like a very normal person outside that she's an actor and she plays fake for a living, and she's a total activist, which gets annoying. But she's just not a likable person. She's not a brandable person. She's not like the brand isn't there. She's very unlikable. She's very annoying, and she's just yeah. It's right here. I mean, it proves that I'm not lying. Like that's a very true statement because they had to change the name of the show. Her movie, the sequel movie that they kept bragging about making 1 billion and yada yada yada. Here we are. They had to change the name of the movie because people didn't like her. So, that's whatever. Agatha, Coven of Chaos, don't know, don't care. And then Thunderbolts, whatever. So again, some of these I don't even know, but none of this is exciting to me. None of it. It all just looks like more shit. I've seen when Marvel was really good, and I see where they are right now. And sorry, it's a no-go for me. And back to where I was on my notes here, I watched the She-Hulk, the final trailer came out. Boy, was that bad. The CGI for Tatiana Maslany, who I've said before, I really like her as an actress. I think she's a really good actress. I loved Orphan Black. It was a great show. The CGI and then everything that I can see that they're doing. The message and the agenda is just dripping all over it. It is so annoying. That's a total pass. I have no interest in that show whatsoever. Will I watch it for the channel? Maybe, because, I really genuinely had fun watching Kenobi because of how bad it was. It was like watching a parody of a show, except it was a poor parody. It was like a parody of a brand or an IP that I used to really love. That was like the lowest of qualities. Like Spaceballs makes Kenobi. Spaceballs looks amazing compared to Kenobi. Just 100%. It's just, Kenobi wishes it had the brand of Spaceballs. And Spaceballs is a total parody of Star Wars. So yeah, this was trash. I saw the trailer. This looks poor. It doesn't look like anything I'm going to be watching except maybe for the channel, like I said. But I'm sorry, I kind of missed my point. I had a lot of fun watching the Kenobi show because of just how poor it was. It was entertaining to watch just how bad the writing, the acting, the cinematography, everything. It was the worst of the worst. My mind was blown. I was laughing out loud. So yeah, I might watch it just for that. But yeah, they just Marvel, and like I said, the MCU and as a whole, I just think the superhero, I think it's over. I really do. I think they have it's over, and Hollywood killed it. Disney has killed it. Warner Brothers has just as much guilt on their hands for ruining fantastic IP. But I just think that they have run the genre into the ground. And the funny thing is I genuinely believe that we could still be talking about the MCU. We could still be talking about Star Wars and all the shit shows that are coming out for that brand. And we could be talking in such a positive way if this agenda wasn't here. And if they really threw money at directors, like real directors, like seasoned veterans, real actors, get real script writers instead of handing the keys over to these rookies who are fresh out of fucking film school and are just, they're 24 years old and they think they know everything because they went to college and they don't know shit. And their writing is terrible because the writing nowadays is just, I need to write myself into everything that I do. I need to write everyone else into everything that I do. I need to make sure that everyone is represented on the screen. And it's like, you're like, I've said this before, I think that they've painted themselves into a corner and they have slowly, I don't even know if you could say it slowly because it's only been a few years, but they have strangled out IP, just put them in the sleeper hold. And now we're getting to the point where I think they're going to tap out. I don't think Star Wars is going anywhere. I think it's going to be around forever, but I don't think its relevance is anywhere near it was when we were watching the previews, the trailers for The Force Awakens. I don't think there was probably the highest of highs for Star Wars fans in terms of hype, in terms of, just excitement. And, I watched those trailers over and over and over again, just like dissecting them because I was so excited. And then they've killed it. They've completely killed that brand. And they're doing the same thing to the MCU. And it's going to, at some point, everything ends. Everything does. Nothing's too big to fail. Okay? Ask the Romans, ask the Egyptians, ask all of the well, everything has its day in the sun and everything has a funeral, no matter what it is. And I think that Disney and Hollywood in general, they've snuffed out the light on a lot of great IP. And I just wonder, like, man, what if that never happened? I could be sitting there just going on about, oh my God, this She-Hulk trailer is so awesome. She is so cool. But it's not. It's trash. It's total trash. Everything that they're doing right now is trash. So, yeah, it's a bummer, but at the same time, there's been, Disney and Hollywood have slung so much mud at fans and labeled and, just belittled and preached at just the country and as a whole, the world. Watching them just face plant, it's kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not too above laughing at a wipeout. If I see someone bust their ass on a slippery sidewalk, I'm going to chuckle and then I'm going to help them up. Hollywood, they can stay on the ground. If they slip and fall, and they're going to, they have been, what's going on with the numbers with Hollywood and the movies and shit that they've been putting out into the theaters, it's not cutting it. It just isn't. People are voting with their wallets, which is the best thing you can do. You vote with your time and your money. That's the time is the most precious commodity for any soul walking this earth right now. You and I are only here for a blink, barely one frame in a 6-hour movie. That's our lives. So to spend time and then to spend our hard-earned money because, we go to work, we pay our bills, we do the normal stuff, taking our time out and then opening our pulling out our debit card for preachy crap for someone to finger wag in your face and tell you that you're a bad person because you don't support this or you won't stand up for that or you do support this so that makes you whatever. Normies don't want to be preached at. We don't. We really don't. No, I mean, some people, like I said, there's still plenty of normies out there that are sleepwalking, but I definitely think that there's plenty that are waking up, like myself. So we'll see what happens. I'd be curious because they have all these grand plans and these numbers are just going to go down. You look at what's going on with Warner Brothers. I just saw this today that they canceled Batwoman, or was it Batwoman? Batgirl? Whatever it was. Don't care. Trash. It was garbage. Looked garbage anyways, but that's a project, a movie that was completely filmed. They actually shot the movie. They spent millions upon millions of dollars paying actors, paying the crew, you know, securing the sets, probably securing locales. All of that costs money and all of it costs time. And they shelved it. They completely shit canned it. They're not even going to put it out on HBO Max, and that should tell you enough right there that at some point money will begin to talk. You can, Hollywood and, DC and Warner Brothers, Disney and the MCU, they have tons of money. They have endless amounts of money. Well, endless is the wrong word for this example, but they have a very, very large war chest of money. It runs out at some point. And at some point, you have to answer to the people who want to continue living in that 1%. The elite don't want to, they're not looking to lose their status. Then, it's not going to happen. And when you start fucking with an elite's pocketbook, they're going to push back. And Bob Chapek and Kevin Feige and Jon Favreau, whoever else is, making shit over there for Disney. It will change. It absolutely has to, because they think they can't fail, and they can fail. Everything can fail. But I think that I can start to see little things like canceling this Batgirl movie, in the way that they did. Like I said, they finished filming this and then they canned it. I saw a little hit piece. Don't know if it's true. There was a rumor that The Flash might get the same treatment. I mean, that would send a huge message, and I would be totally on board with Warner Brothers for just a hot second, for actually having the gall and the guts to, just stop it, cut the bullshit, get back to making art, get back to entertaining your customers, because your consumers are waking up and they're becoming customers like myself and like you, I'm sure. And we're not paying for this shit, and we're not going to spend our time. So, we'll see if the tide is actually really changing, or if this is just a flash in the pan sort of movement. I don't know. Maybe I could be completely wrong, and we could spend the next, 30 years, if I'm still alive, 30 years of just trash. And then I'm on my deathbed, and I'm like, oh, well, welcome to the channel. I'm gonna put my teeth in, and I got bifocals on. I can't hear you. Welcome to the channel, and Hollywood still sucks. That could happen. But I think everything moves in cycles, and I think this cycle it's starting to run out. All right. So I'm going to wrap up. That was pretty much it. I wanted to talk a little bit about Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I love the original movies, the Peter Jackson movies. Didn't read the books. No interest in them. I watched The Hobbit, the first movie. I thought it was absolute trash. I hated that movie. It was so bad that I thought The Hobbit was terrible, and I didn't understand the hype. I really didn't. I didn't understand why people were freaking out. Like, I understand the book is a gem, but man, that was terrible. That was a really bad. So I didn't see the other two, The Desolation of Smaug and whatever else the third one was. Don't really care. However, Lord of the Rings is a big IP. It's a big brand. Amazon owns it, and they're just doing the same shit. They're doing. I've seen the trailers, the teaser, and then I saw the latest trailer. It just looks dumb, and it looks really bad. It just doesn't have the eye candy. Like, I remember watching the trailers for the Lord of the Rings. I was in the movies when I first saw it. When I saw the first trailer, and it blew me. Blew me away. I was like, what is this? Like, what? I've never heard of this. I didn't know. I'm like I said, never read the books. Don't know anything about Tolkien. But when I saw that, I was just all the way in. The trailer looked epic. It just looked like something I'd never seen anything like that. And I was so excited for it. And, I watched all three movies. I've seen them multiple times. Those movies are great. They really are. That's a great trilogy. But They really did with the Hobbit. It felt like it felt like the OG Star Wars trilogy and then the prequels, and it feels like Amazon The Rings of Power is the Disney trilogy of Star Wars. Like it's progressively sort of gotten worse. I don't care what anybody says. The Hobbit series, whatever that was, that trilogy. I saw the first movie, like I said, it looked like trash. Compare that to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, night and day, night and day. Then you compare the Hobbit to what I'm seeing with the Rings of Power. It's like it's another step down. So, Lord of the Rings is going the way of Star Wars. Sorry, that's what's going to happen. It just sucks. I mean, it sucks for people who are big fans. I'm not a big fan, like I said, but just one more IP, right? Okay, let's move along here. Let's get into a little bit of gaming news, I should say. Really isn't like news, but there's a couple of things to talk about. One of the things, so I haven't finished Sniper Elite. I picked up, what was it? Oh, God, I picked up Ace Combat 7. I was a big fan of the originals, and I thought, you know what? I got my OLED screen. That game's probably going to look epic. It's a big screen. I'm going to scoot my chair really close, and I'm going to just dive into Top Gun style. Like, I just saw the movie, so I was like, I'm going to check this out. I did not like it. I played the first mission, and I thought it was terrible. I thought it was terrible. I don't know what, maybe I might play another mission or two just to maybe give it a little bit of breathing room. But man, I don't know why people think this game is good. Cause I've read reviews and like, oh yeah, it's an Ace Combat game. It's, it's definitely good. And it got some decent scores. Like it did not get really bad scores at all. And this was a game that was kind of on my shelf. Like, you know what? I'm going to play this game at some point. Whew, no good. The other game that I picked up, which is the one that I've just been stuck in, is a game called Divinity Original Sin 2. It's Definitive Edition. It's kind of a mouthful. It's a kind of a isometric top-down fantasy RPG, and it's one of the better RPGs that I've ever played. I really like this game. It's definitely outside of the norm for me. I used to not like fantasy in general. Just when there was like anything mentions of like wizards and dragons, I was out. I had no interest in fantasy. I was all sci-fi. That's all I cared about was science fiction. Now, I've gotten older. Maybe that's what it is, but I've definitely softened on like the whole fantasy thing. Like I've definitely, and just recently, I'm just talking like in the last, 3 or 4 years, I've really sort of gotten into like, what, I actually like this stuff. There's some really good character stories and character arcs within these games, with these fantasy games. And this one's no different. I really enjoy it. I'm getting the hang of the combat. I tried playing this game probably about maybe a year ago. That's when I bought it. And I just wasn't feeling it. The combat just wasn't working for me. I didn't really want to take the time to learn it and figure it out. And when I picked it up again, I was like, I want to play this game. The story was cool. I was really into the characters and I was really into the story, but I don't like jumping back into games because I probably put in about, 4 or 5 hours. I didn't want to pick up the game where I left off. I'm like, you know what? I didn't go too far where I can't replay it, but I didn't go, I didn't feel like I was like, I can get back to that point with just paying attention, picking up the combat. I kind of had it in my head of like, how the gameplay worked. So it was just enough. I was like, this is, I don't feel bad going back and starting a new character. And I did. And I got to tell you, this game it's great. It really is. The story in and of itself, it's a cool story. Like just the plot line is like, oh, this is kind of neat. And then you start meeting characters and then you start building your party. And then you learn about them, and then you learn about the world. And the thing that I love so much about this game is I always feel like I'm learning. The game has a fantastic way of showing me or showing any player the rules of the world and how to navigate through the world, how to deal with obstacles and like puzzles, enemy types. It really teaches you. And when there, I'll be playing this game and I'll get a piece of equipment, you know, for like loot or whatever, and or I'll talk to somebody, and they'll trigger my mind like, wait a minute, can I do something? And I'll go back to an area that I just was like, oh, I saw something, but maybe I can get to that, and come to find out you can. And then it's like opened up whole different levels for me, and it was like, oh my god, I didn't even know that was there. I didn't know I can do that. Then I started finding better gear, you know, for myself and for my party, and you roll with 3 other characters, so you have a party of 4, and you know, your character, you get to choose the backstory, you get to make your character creation and all other stuff, and that's all great. But your party, you know, you got to suit them up too. So gear and stuff, you got to kind of distribute between them, and each character has their strengths and their weaknesses, and so you have to use that, and you got to remember that in battle. And when you get into these combat, you know, the combat takes time. You know, it's more slower, which is kind of nice. It's not like you got to be like super fast and, you know, reactionary to it. You have to think. You have to look at your surroundings, and the game challenges me to, you know, look at like, where are we standing? Are we in water? Are we standing in blood? Are we standing in oil? Is there barrels around? Is there anything that could catch fire? Because the world reacts to everything that you do, and you can hurt your own players, which is kind of cool. But I really feel like the game just does a fantastic job of teaching me. I always feel, and it has been like that. It just keeps going. And there's so many things, like you can do things where it's like, normally it feels like a real RPG, because normal games, they sort of, they'll have RPG qualities, but they're moving you down a narrow path. You're going to end up at the same spot. And with this game, you can absolutely kill characters off. Like you can just start flinging arrows at them if you want to, or spells, or take a sword to them. I mean, you can start a fight with anybody, and you can even have dialogue choices where you might say the wrong thing to somebody, and they're like, "What'd you say? You want to fight?" And then it's on. It's really cool. I love that. It feels like decisions have weight. I feel very invested in the story and the journey that I'm on. So I highly recommend this game, Divinity: Original Sin 2. I think it's great. Absolutely love it. All right. I haven't picked up Stray. It's on my list, and I know that game's. I've watched a non-spoiler review, and I didn't even finish the review, but it sounds pretty short. It's only like 4 hours, but it's getting decent scores, and it looks really cool. So I'm gonna check that game out for sure. That'll definitely happen. All right. So moving along, let's start talking about some of the actual topics here. Let's see. Where was I at? Okay. So 2 things here about Rockstar. Number 1, a few weeks ago, they announced that they're killing the online support for Red Dead Redemption. I played Red Dead Redemption online. I had some fun with it. Shout out to Hulk Smash. He and I got on there and we, you know, ran some missions and things. But it was fun for what it was, but it lacked so much content to me. It felt like there was nothing there. And I was like, this kind of feels weak. And then I started reading actual articles, because I never had touched the Red Dead Redemption online part of it. Never did. And I started reading articles and watching videos, and everyone said the same thing. The content is just not there. It's very shallow. And you compare Red Dead Redemption Online to GTA 5 Online, it's just, you know, where Rockstar is putting all of their resources. Everything is going in to GTA 5 because they're just, it's a cash cow. You know, there's so many microtransactions, and there's so many expansions that you can purchase. They're just milking the hell out of it. And you know what? People who love it, they love it. They say it's great. I played a little bit of it. I thought it was pretty cool, but just wasn't my thing. And it's not my thing right now. But they actually came out and said that they will no longer be supporting Red Dead Redemption Online. So it's not really a big deal to me, because I know what it was. But I know there's some people who really love the game. So that kind of sucks. Whenever you have any sort of always online game, or any sort of online, like an MMO, or, you know, I'm trying to think of examples like Elder Scrolls Online or World of Warcraft, things like that. When they turn like the game off, it's, you know, the online side of it, it's a big deal if you're not a gamer. Now, the thing that they said, they were moving people, their resources off of Red Dead Redemption Online and shifting them to Gran Turismo 6. Grand Theft Auto 6. And that kind of leads me into the next thing that I wanted to talk about. So there was an article. I don't even know if I brought it up. To be honest, I already knew what I wanted to talk about with this. But the thing that really that stands out to me about this whole Rockstar thing right now is that Rockstar has come out and they have said that they are they are trying not to offend anybody with the next GTA. They've already gone in to GTA 5 and removed jokes and I think certain scenes from the campaign because they were quote offensive. And now they're saying that GTA 6, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to, number one, they've said, like, we're not going to do crunch, which, okay, that's fine. The game's going to be delayed. It's going to be slow. But the humor of Gran Turismo, oh, God, I keep saying that. Sorry. The humor of Grand Theft Auto has always been like it's a satirical telling of America and American culture. And there's a lot of American culture that is to be made fun of. There's a lot of low hanging fruit in our culture, and I think now more than ever, there's plenty to make fun of. However, that vocal minority, they're shutting down. I can get shut down. They're shutting down anybody, and some of these big corporations bend the knee to these loud minority voices. I this sucks. I think it's bullshit, and it sucks that GTA and Rockstar are going to bend the knee. They're going to work on, not being offensive and all this other shit. That's what GTA is. It is offensive. It's shocking. It's a rated R movie. It's something that there's surprises and there's darkness to it, and there's like dark humor. But there's also some lightheartedness and some actual moments of levity. And it's just crazy. It's a crazy journey. All these campaigns of Grand Theft Auto have been that way. And now they're going to take that mold that they have, this very productive and lucrative mold of the Grand Theft Auto formula. And now they're going to change it in the name of virtue or the name of what? Like, what the fuck are you doing? I think it's stupid. I really do. I think it's a bad decision because I've said this before. When you bend the knee and you say you're sorry for offensiveness, you'll never stop saying you're sorry. You never will. It will never be enough. And I think the best thing for that sort of behavior, when people lash out and get loud on Twitter, which is not a real place, you just ignore them. You just mute, block, don't read, don't whatever, don't watch. Instead, these corporations, they're afraid that they're going to affect their bottom dollar by bending the knee. Now, I don't know how much that means for Rockstar. I don't know what that means, but I do know that there has been some senior staff that have left Rockstar since, that were on, GTA 5 for the previous Grand Theft Autos. They're gone now, and this is sort of a new regime. And Rockstar has openly come out and said that they're changing the culture and yada yada, and that's fine. Some work environments, if they're shit, and the corporations want to make a better work environment for their employees, I don't have any problem with that. That's a good thing. It's just this whole offensive thing. That word gets used way too easy. It's just it's a word that doesn't have any meaning to me anymore, because anything could be offensive. My beard could be offensive, and there's someone out there that right now there's someone that they could say they can actually talk themselves into believing that my beard is offensive, so therefore I should shave it off, and it's their right to shave it off my face without my consent. Like, that's how crazy it is right now. That's how crazy American culture is right now. A Grand Theft Auto about American culture today and how it is, if they went just full throttle, no side of the aisle is safe. No one is safe. Just make fun of it all, which is what GTA is really about. They could have oh man, it would be so awesome. It would be so good because the quality of the games are always top notch. The gameplay is always really fun. The mission structure, the stories are always crazy and fun. to now, especially coming off GTA 5, to now change up that formula in the name of virtue or in the name of the agenda or the message, I think is a big fucking mistake. Um, there was another big thing that they talked, and this was something I heard a while back, but they're going to have their first female lead. That's great. There's nothing that's a good thing, right? There's always been male characters. There's always been the male protagonist, and male. There's female characters. They've always been like sort of side characters. They haven't been like a primary prominent character. That's cool. That's cool. But when I hear we're not going to be offensive and we're doing the female lead, it's just got the stench. It's got that Hollywood stench, and I've been saying that. I think that the agenda that Hollywood has and the message that they promote. I knew it was going to come to gaming. It's been eking into the gaming space for some time now. I've been listening to, like I said, different podcasts from back in like 2010, 2006. I think it was, yeah, probably no, 2000. No, it's a little bit too early. So probably like around 2009, 2010 was when I really started watching or listening to podcasts and listening to gaming podcasts specifically. Over the years leading up to around 2016, 2017, I could hear it coming. I knew it was coming. And I was someone who was really deep into gaming. I just kept hearing them say things, and I could hear the message that they were kind of just touting. And then it really sort of boiled over in 2016. So I knew this was going to infect, this virus will infect the gaming space, and it has, and it's starting. And does this mean GTA 6 is going to be trash and it's going to be all woke? I don't know. I don't think so. But usually when I hear things like we're not going to be offensive and we're going to represent everybody and blah, 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 you're going to see yourself on the game. You're going to see yourself on TV because everyone's a fucking narcissist. You got to see yourself wherever you look. It's so funny, when people feel like they have to see themselves in everything they watch, everything they hear, everything they play. But, go look in the mirror. Like, you can see yourself anytime you want. But no, they want to see themselves someplace else. It's just everyone's got this sort of narcissistic behavior that's just been pounded into everyone's brain. Like, they got to be seeing themselves wherever they go. When I hear Rockstar make that sort of roundabout statement about not being offensive and being more representative and all this yada yada, and then you tack on the idea, it's like, well, now we're gonna have a first female lead. It's like, oh boy, I heard Doctor Who fans going on about Doctor Who and the first female Doctor. So funny. Sorry, whenever I say that, I cannot help. I've listened to a lot of, and I mentioned his name before, but over on Nerd Rod, he was a huge Doctor Who fan, and when I first started listening to his channel, that was one of the things that he would talk about. And I've never seen a single episode of Doctor Who. I don't know anything about it. I know enough now just from everyone I listen to, but whenever I hear the first female doctor played by Jodie Whittaker, who will be forever known as Dr. Karen or something like that, it's just every time I hear Doctor Who and I say like the female doctor, it just plays off in my head. I've heard it so many times, and it's a funny ass line. But anyways, let me get back on track here. When I hear like the first female character, and then I hear all the offensive stuff, and then I hear about the work culture and everything, it's a recipe, and I'm hearing a lot of ingredients for agenda, for the message. And I'm just, it's a turnoff. I'm just like, oh, here we go. Like, what's this going to be about now? How are we going to, how can we inject today's political climate? How can we inject today's, how can we inject current politics into our TV show? And this is going to be about the reflection of America as it is today. And it's like, whenever someone has to say that, you're like, what they're going to do. What side of the aisle they're on. What they're going to reflect on. Because they never reflect on themselves. They never can make fun of themselves. And I think that's like strike number one. If you cannot make fun of yourself and laugh at yourself, you're too uptight. You need to fucking chill out. And these elites are as uptight as it gets. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I want to say that there's hope, but it's hope in in a lot of areas in entertainment right now. It's getting thinner and thinner. There are glimmers of hope where it's like, you hear what happened with, Warner Brothers, and you hear some course corrections. You see a show come out like The Terminal List, who's not afraid to, just tell the story that it wants to tell without bending some sort of knee, or leaning a very specific political way because that's the way it's supposed to be. Whenever you see those, it gives me hope, and I hope it gives you hope. But then, it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. For every Terminal List, there's a story about like this, or there's another Kenobi, or there's a Loki, or there's whatever. It's more trash. So, all right, that's enough about that. Let's move on to the next. This was kind of a really big deal. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of experience with it, but Knights of the Old Republic, or KOTOR in the gaming space, gets delayed. So this game was being remade. This is an old game. This came out in like 2002 or 2004 or something like that. And this was a really big game. Now, for me, I never played it. I just never did. To be honest with you, I was just playing different games at that time. I was more of your Halo, Call of Duty player at that time. So I wasn't really into like RPG online games. But this is a beloved title. I believe it was BioWare. BioWare was the developer back when they were still a good developer. And so when this came out, the news came out. I forgot when they dropped the trailer. It was just a quick teaser trailer, but they announced that Sony was had the rights or made a deal with Disney or whatever, Lucasfilm, to have this game be a PS5 exclusive. It was a good deal. I was like, wow, I can't believe they got it, on one console. I just wouldn't think that Disney would do that, or Lucasfilm, whatever. And there's a studio that's called Aspyr, who was the ones who were being brought in to remake this game. I never heard of them until this announcement. And at the time I was like, okay, let's see what they can do. I don't know much about them. Maybe they're going to be great. I know they had done like a lot of support work and that type of shit, but they never really made any games on themselves. Nothing big. And then it came out. I guess there was a trailer. There was an early release or a sneak peek trailer, whatever, for who was it? It was like Disney. I think it was Disney and Lucasfilm or whatever. And right after that preview of the gameplay or whatever, I guess it just got scrapped immediately. I guess it was a huge turnoff. I don't know what the hell that means. I have no idea. I don't know if it means it didn't have enough message in it. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Maybe it was total shit. It was total crap. But they said that they were going to, this game would be delayed indefinitely. So who knows if this is going to come out, and did they pay money for this deal? Are they going to get a refund on anything? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But this was a really big deal. Like I said, I'm just not a big KOTOR guy. I know KOTOR fans were just fucking going crazy over this, the idea of playing this again. And this was an actual, it was a remake. And again, so I've said this before, so there's reboots, remasters, and remakes. So a remake is actual, like changing of storylines and characters, and I know, I believe, I say I know, but I believe that they had hired someone. It was a woman. They had hired her to come in, and she was supposed to be rewriting stories for the characters in the game. Like, she was in charge of like some story arcs, and there was some controversy because she's all agenda, she's all current politics, she's on her team through and through, and there's no art that she won't do unless it has her message in it. That was kind of a red flag at the time, but it was early on, so I'm like, okay, whatever. And it's not like she's in charge of the whole game. She's just gonna have some hand in the writing, like, okay. And then to find out that this game did not look well to the people who supply it with money, the actual investors, I don't know. Maybe it was too agenda. I don't know. Maybe it was just graphically trash, but it really was supposed to be an actual remake. So I don't know. I don't know if it's, I don't know if the remake itself, like I said, a remaster is just it looks better, looks better, sounds better. Doesn't mean the game will be the exact same. Think of the Last of Us remake. That's a whole other. I talked about that already, but that's a whole other situation. But the and I'll talk about that in a second. But the Last of Us, that remake is, you know, they said that they were going to change some things that they didn't. But genuinely, what they were talking about was they wanted the game to look like a current game, a game from 9 years ago, however long it was. They wanted to graphically boost it and make it look the best that it could look on the current hardware. That's fine. That's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you say remake, the implication is that, oh, okay, there's going to be some stuff. You're going to change a lot. It's not just going to look prettier or sound better. It's going, the gameplay will change. It's going to feel differently. There's going to be different story points and that type of stuff. That's what KOTOR was supposed to be. And they were supposed to like change the story. Like there were going to be character arcs that were not in the original game. So it had that sort of, it's kind of more exciting as someone who never played the original. It's like, okay, as long as the storylines are still strong and the writing is still strong. I mean, from what I understand, it's BioWare's best work. So, as long as it doesn't shit all over that and try to, reinvent the wheel, this could be a really fun experience. And I was looking forward to it. Then to hear that it just got delayed indefinitely, I mean, who knows? It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for Aspyr, that's for sure. I mean, that's going to be a black eye on their resume, because to have such a big IP land in your lap, and I've said this before, when I was talking about the Hollywood stuff, they keep handing the keys to rookies. They keep handing the keys to these fresh out of college cubs. They're just babies. They don't know anything about it. They're trying to figure out who the hell they are. Maybe Aspyr was just, they just gave it to the wrong people. They gave it to the wrong group. It just wasn't ready for it. It was too daunting of a task for them. So, but again, I mean, isn't that kind of their fault? Not Aspyr's, but Disney's or Lucasfilm. Isn't that really their problem? Like these people, I'm sure they got paid to work, but I mean, here they are, they're working, whatever, and they're probably trying to put their best work forward, I would assume. But the quality, when you try to get things on a budget, you're going to get what you pay for. And I think that's kind of what's going on here. I think KOTOR was handed to a team that wasn't built to remake this game. It's too big of a game. And then to rewrite some of it and change, like I think maybe if they were just remastering it and just it's the exact same game, it's just going to look better, sound better, I think Aspyr would have been just fine. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. I think that, but maybe they would have sucked. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, it bummed me out. It sucks, but. And I heard a little bit of like, oh, Xbox, they were smart enough to not invest in that. Phil Spencer, good for him. It's like, that wasn't the conversation when this got announced. The conversation was, oh, this is messed up. I can't believe, Sony's bad for gaming because they make exclusives just for Sony, and this is Star Wars should be enjoyed by all, and blah blah blah. It's like, really? Okay. So, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that one. Next up, I was looking at these notes here. So, I want to talk about Ubisoft for a second. Let me pull the article here. So, Ubisoft announced that they were canceling some games. Let's see. Ubisoft cancels Ghost Recon Frontline, Splinter Cell VR, 2 unannounced games. And they also delayed Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora. So this is Ubisoft is they're in trouble. I mean, they really look like a company that is about to get snatched up. I don't know. I don't think that Microsoft or Sony would buy them, but they're making all the wrong moves. And as someone who has been a fan of Ubisoft for many, many years, big fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise. Far Cry, been a fan of that. There was another one. I'm drawing a blank. There's another one of their IP that I like. But anyways, like Tom Clancy's The Division, I liked 1 and 2. They have the IP for they have the IP the Splinter Cell IP, and they're not doing anything with it, which is just mind-boggling to me. That's such a big franchise, and it's it's one of those games that gamers like myself are asking for. It's what they want to see, and Ubisoft isn't doing anything with it. Well, they were doing a Splinter Cell VR game. Really? I think there was some talks that they were going to do some sort of Splinter Cell, like always online game, like some sort of, battle royale, but I'm not sure. I heard that in a video, and I was like, really? I didn't know that, but I knew about the Splinter Cell VR. So, them canceling Ghost Recon Frontline, Splinter Cell, and the other two IP, or the other two games, and then delaying Avatar, to me is I'm sorry, that's what it was. My bad. It wasn't Splinter Cell. It was Ghost Recon. That's right. It says it right here. Ghost Recon Frontline was a battle royale take on the franchise. Yeah, that's what it was. My bad. So, anyways, taking just a look at what they've been doing. So, and it really wasn't that long ago when Ubisoft was they were just reigning supreme. They were one of the best developers out there, and they had some of the most lucrative IP. They were pushing out games on a regular basis. There was a steady diet, and also they were taking risks on things, and they still kind of do. I'm thinking about like For Honor. I didn't want to play that game. I had no interest in it, but it was like, that's cool. They're doing something completely different. That game was pretty successful. The other one was Rayman Legends. Like what that was a really great remake, or I think it was a remaster or whatever. Actually, no, it might have been just a straight up sequel. But regardless, that game was very popular. That was a great game. They did another game called what was it called? Ooh, Child of Light. That was the other one. Excuse me. So Child of Light was completely, it was just weird. It was a kind of a action turn-based side-scrolling RPG, but it was a big hit. And Ubisoft has just completely, they went from, I mean, it's so crazy. They went from, bringing out new IP, introducing, Watch Dogs, and maintaining the Assassin's Creed franchise, maintaining the Far Cry franchise, and then coming and taking chances on like an always online game like The Division, an online game like For Honor. What was the other one? There was another one I was thinking of. But regardless, they were oh god, what was it called? Riders Republic. And even that one, that was one of their latest ones. That was kind of a big deal. It's like, oh wow, they're doing something different. And I think what really has just got them is that what's hurting them so much is, one, they have a bunch of controversy within their studio. That's been reported on for a while. There's been like lots of sexual harassment charges, toxic work environments, that type of shit, which never looks good. But I think that they taking the same IP and pushing them out every year, I think it just sort of got fatigued out. I think people were just getting really tired of it. I know that's a part of their problem, but at the same time, I felt like they were still, even when they were dropping Assassin's Creeds, they did such a good job of introducing new mechanics. You go back and you play AC1, and then you play AC2, and then you play AC, I think Brotherhood was in between. God, Brotherhood was so good. I actually said that the last time I was on here. I mentioned about the most favorite games, the most Assassin's Creed games. Brotherhood is right up there too. That one was fantastic. But you had Brotherhood, then you had Black Flag, AC3. That introduced a lot of new stuff. Then you look at Odyssey Origins, when they revamped the entire combat system and gave it more of a looter sort of feel. Then you look at Odyssey, which expanded on that. I didn't like Valhalla, but at least they were trying they were introducing a couple of new mechanics. But I think regardless, even though they were doing a good job and they were maintaining that sort of, every Assassin's Creed game had a different sort of feel to it, it still turned into just an open world full of icons. That's really all it was. That was the other game I was just thinking of. Immortals, Phoenix, is it called Phoenix Rising? Or God dang it, I can't remember the name now. Immortals, yeah, Immortals Phoenix Rising. That was a game that they dropped 2 years ago, I think. Came out of nowhere, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" It was an open world game, but it was like a cartoon art style, and it was a really cool. It was different. It was just something different. It didn't feel like your regular Ubisoft game, and it wasn't full of icons until you found them. It wasn't like you opened your map and it was just litter with all these things sprinkled all over the map. Go here, do this, and and just leading you around on a fucking dog leash to each destination. Immortals was different. It had a different feel. Like you had to go look for things, and then you had to like go to high locations, and you could spot them, but you had to spot them with your eyes. And and then it would be a marker, but you didn't even have to do that. You could just wander around and find the shit if you wanted to. And the story was pretty good. But the point is you look at Immortals, you look at what they have done in the past with Rayman Legends and Child of Light and that type of stuff, and taking the risks and the chances. I just feel like they just sort of lost their luster, and I think a lot of it had to do with quality. I thought Immortals was a pretty quality game, but that's not a huge IP. And you look at something like Assassin's Creed, it started to become just a meme. It had that Bethesda, sort of humor to it. Like, okay, they're gonna launch a game, let's just see how buggy it is. It happened with Assassin's Creed Unity. That was sort of the beginning of, that was the really beginning of their like them shipping some broken ass shit. And I feel like the market got stagnant, for one, because they were rinsing and repeating a lot of the stuff. And two, I feel like they just sort of lost the creativity just wasn't there. I don't know, I just don't feel it. And I with the Division 2, I loved that game. Had so much fun playing it, but then I hit a brick wall. And I spent tons of hours on that game, and I had fun with my friends and crushing the missions and then getting better gear and getting more powerful. And then once I achieved, sort of like basically the best gear that you could get outside of PvP shit, which I don't really play, but in sort of in the PvE space, there was nothing I couldn't handle. I had the right setup. I had the best gun. I think it was the M1A, and I had the perfect roll, and I had statted that thing to the max. Once I hit that, it was I was like, this is kind of boring. Where's the new stuff? And then they dropped a couple of things within the it's like the Gangs of New York, or I forgot what they called it. But you went back to New York in a smaller setting. Then they added another school or whatever, and they tried, but it felt like the content just wasn't there. The game just sort of died out, and you can go play the game right now. And, if you never played it before, yeah, you'd probably have a lot of fun. I did. But I felt like they sort of hit cruise control, and they're getting rich off Dance Dance Revolution and their big franchises. And I just think they just got stale. I think, like I said, the Hero franchise, with the MCU, I think sort of Ubisoft just sort of ran into it, and everything comes to an end. And, there was a time back in like 2019 where there was a corporation or a bank or whatever called Vivendi, or a financial group or whatever, that they were trying to take them over. They were buying out all their stock, and the Ubisoft was screaming and crying like a little bitch. Just, oh my God, this is terrible, and we're going to lose control, and we want to be creative, and we're so awesome, and you guys don't want to see us get bought, do you? And they thwarted off of it, or thwarted off the attack, or whatever, however you want to call it. And they, maintained their independence. And you fast forward the clock to 2022, and they're like, well, we wouldn't mind being purchased. Hey, Microsoft or somebody wants to buy us. We're here. And it's like, it was so funny how times have changed. They had so many misses. They had so many things just come out and fall flat, that their prime, their luster is gone. They are not in their prime anymore. I think they're a studio on the downslope, and I think they're ripe for the picking. And Microsoft's got all the money in the world. They brag about it all the time. I hear all the Xbox supporters talk about it too. They're so rich, they could buy them, and there's a lot of IP there. I mean, Jesus, you got the Tom Clancy name. They could do a lot with that. Well, I don't know if Microsoft can do a lot with it. You know how I feel about Microsoft and how they run their studios, but I don't think Ubisoft has what Sony would want to add to their stable. However, there are some IP in there that, can you imagine if Naughty Dog made the next Splinter Cell game? Like that would, whew, that could really, they could do something really special with that IP. Um, what if Insomniac got their hands on an Assassin's Creed game? You know, there's some things there that I think Sony could use and really build their catalog, but I just don't know if Ubisoft is worth it anymore. I really don't. There's some IP there to definitely be had, but they're just not the studio, and it's crazy, and the whole Avatar, when they delayed Avatar, to me I was like, what? Like, I couldn't believe they were actually making that game. Like, when I heard it was delayed, I'm like, of course it's delayed. Like, they're in so much trouble. It was like, I can't believe this. Like, they just continue to shoot themselves in the foot. If I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, I believe Avatar comes out this holiday season, like Christmas or whatever. This game they want this game to launch when the movie launches. That's not a good look. That's really bad for just the marketing in general. And I was like, they're going to miss that target. Like that, this doesn't look good. The next Assassin's Creed game, they're delaying that too. And then you see what happened with the Skull and Bones thing. And I talked about that at length. And I just feel like everything they're doing, I feel like they're just hitting ground balls. They just are. They're not hitting anything out of the park. They're not even doing anything serious enough to maintain that level. Like, they're a quality studio. They're dropping quality games. People want to play. They're selling big numbers. Ubisoft still has it. They still have that thing. They don't. Ubisoft just doesn't have it anymore. So we'll see what happens with them. Like I said, I think they're on the plate to be bought. But I don't think it's going to be Microsoft or Sony. I could be wrong. But I think I can see a financial group coming in and just buying them up, and hopefully it doesn't turn into an EA situation. All right, let's move along here. So The Last of Us, so this remake, whatever it is, I've listened to a few podcasts about this, and I talked about this plenty. So they had, to just sort of refresh a little bit. So Naughty Dog announced that they're remaking The Last of Us, the first game. And that game came out, I think it was 9 years ago. I think it was 2013. Smashing success. Fantastic game. Loved it. It's just great. Just love that game. They decided that they were going to use their time and their money, their resources, to remake that game. It's already been remade. I'm sorry. It's already been remastered. It was remastered for the PS4. And then here we go again, 8 years later, 7 years later, whenever that remaster came out, I forgot when. It was towards the beginning of the PS4 era. But here they go again. They're going to repackage that same game, and they're boasting and bragging about, oh my God, it's going to look amazing. And it's going to, they're what would they say? The game will actually be, it will be what they wanted it to be back in 2013. Okay. It just feels like a do-over. It just feels like, well, it's like a, do-over. I want to do this again. I want to try it again. Now that it's a nice sunny day and it's not raining anymore, I want to go out and play that same game again and do a do-over. And it's like, no, you don't get to do that. I've said before, I don't have a problem with remasters. I don't have a problem with reboots or remakes. However, we are in, like, this era of entertainment in general is just littered with remakes, reboots, remasters, relive, redo, everything. All of the IP from my childhood is coming back all of a sudden. There's a couple of good things that come from that. Look at Cobra Kai. Hey, that's great. Look at the Mass Effect trilogy. Hey, that's great. No problems with those things. I just think that there's way too many projects that are being shelved or that are being centered around nostalgia. Let's go back to the 80s and to the 90s, and let's get those Gen Xers to break out their wallets. I wasn't on board when I saw this because they announced it. Naughty Dog announced it at the I forgot the show again, like the Games Fest or some shit like that. Jeff Keighley's show. That announcement got spoiled the day before. I guess it all leaked. Someone online leaked the whole announcement about what they were going to about the Last of Us remake and what they were going to be doing to it. Whatever, that sucks. You know, when people do shit like that, it sucks. And I mean, like I said, I don't like Neil Druckmann. Not a huge fan of the leadership at Naughty Dog, but they know how to make a great game. They know how to make a quality game, and to see even someone I don't like get their thunder stolen strictly to just steal it, it kind of sucked. You know, I was like, I don't like this punk, but you know, it sucks for them. It sucks for the whole company, right? Because it's the whole company's riding on that sort of marketing. You know, it's a big deal, and to have that spoiled then, and then to have the news be like, okay, it was already spoiled. Then we have to sit there and listen to you hype something up, and it's like, so what are you doing? You're remaking the game? So are you retelling the story? Like, no, it's the same exact game. You will play everything you saw in 2013. You will see in this game. Only it will be in 2022 graphics on a PS5 hardware. Okay, that's cool, but also the sound. And now we have the haptic feedback in the controller, and you know, and they said something that I think people really twisted. They said that they were redoing the combat or modernizing the combat. It was along those lines. For whatever reason, people took that as this will be The Last of Us 2 gameplay, because The Last of Us 2 has the gameplay was they really did revamped it. They changed some things. They added prone. They added jump. So there was things to the gameplay that absolutely were improved and changed. The idea that that's what they were saying at that announcement, I never received that message. I did not. That's not what I understood. And I was kind of surprised when I was listening to this news break and listening to people talk about it on other podcasts when they were saying like, well, you know, this was kind of the idea was that this was supposed to be like The Last of Us 2, and then we see the gameplay reveal, and it's not. It doesn't have the Last of Us 2 gameplay. I was surprised because I was like, did they say that? I never heard that, and I watched the video a couple of times. Like, I don't remember them saying that. They didn't. They never said that. They said they were supposed to modernize it and make it more of the times. Okay, that could mean anything. Literally, that could mean anything. And they're adding some functions for, oh God, what's it called? Accessibility stuff. That's fine. That's not a bad thing. It's just the idea that Naughty Dog is over here marketing this game as though it's a new game. I think some of that message got inflated by fans and, you know, creators or whatever. And I think that message just got distorted. So it was kind of a double whammy when the gameplay came out. And back to that, the gameplay was actually leaked. So the gameplay of the remake was leaked online. I guess I didn't see it. I didn't really care to. I heard about it. And I was like, okay, whatever. But what the story was, oh, the gameplay sucks, and the gameplay doesn't look like Last of Us 2, so they lied. Well, that wasn't true. Naughty Dog didn't actually lie about anything, but it did reveal that the gameplay wasn't exactly what they said. It didn't meet, like it just kind of looked the same, you know? And furthermore, they said the graphics, there was some comparison like, oh, the graphics don't look that great. That wasn't fair because the video quality, from what I understand, wasn't good. So Naughty Dog countered that, and they dropped a trailer like a day or two later. And they did a little expose of like 7 minutes of Neil Druckmann and the other guy who is the director or whatever. They talk about the game, the improvements that they made, and then you get to see gameplay footage, and they show a lot of like original, and then the screen sort of wipes and it becomes the PS5 version. Definitely looked so much better. Like graphically, wow, looks awesome. That still, to me, doesn't warrant the price tag. That was the big, like the sticking point for me that bothered me, was them saying they were going to sell it for $70. I called it a cash grab. I think by definition, it is a cash grab. And I don't have to pay for it. And I'm not going to. and anybody can choose. They can decide that. But I think the thing that was sort of the big hoopla that I wasn't understanding was like this game was supposed to be like The Last of Us 2. They were going to do all this stuff. And no, I never heard that one time. I think that was the big sort of like, well, that's not fair to Naughty Dog because they never said that. But to it's also not fair to your customer to say you're doing all these things that you're changing, and then when you see them it's like, oh, okay, it's prettier, that's cool, but you added some haptic feedback to giraffe petting, or the sound now is so different, you can hear the enemies, yada yada yada. It's like, okay, that's, I mean, cool story, but it just, I just don't think it's in any way, I don't think this warrants $70. And then on top of that, they're taking out the multiplayer. The multiplayer will not be in this game. And the multiplayer for The Last of Us 1 was really strong. It was really underrated, but that's some really fun gameplay. I know that the other one, The Last of Us Left Behind, was another part of it. So you're gonna get, and that was just DLC. That's like I don't know, like a 4 or 5 hour little game of Ellie when she was young. I think that Naughty Dog has, they've really they've stepped on their own feet for sure. They've said things to fans that piss people off, like me. Like, I don't like Neil Druckmann now because of how he runs his mouth. I actually, there's a lot of content creators. Well, I won't say a lot. There are some content creators that I was like, well, unsubscribe, because at the time they were on Team Naughty Dog, Team Agenda, and it was like, oh, people are just blah, blah, blah. Insert, terrible adjective, and it was just like, really? Why do the people that don't like The Last of Us 2 or like what the message is, or like the fact that Naughty Dog pulled the shit they did on their review copies and the reviewers and the rules that they set, it was all sort of grimy. And it's like, so just because I don't like that, I'm a phobe or an ist, it's like, no, that's bullshit. That's where they lost me. I think some people within the story of The Last of Us 2, and I know what happens in the story, I've seen all the spoilers. Yeah, it sucked. To me, I'm like, that story shit. It's a shit story. It sucks, No, it ruined the characters from, well, at least one of the characters. It ruined one character from the first game, and then it killed off the main character from the first game, like, early. And I was like, what? A beloved character just killed him off, and it was like, and it was really unceremonious. It was written in like, let's get this guy out of here. And I don't care, how does he die? Yeah, he's stupid. He just walks into a room and says who he is, and totally negates everything about his character that we learned as players from The Last of Us 1. And it was like, what? And so you just kind of knew that there was an agenda, there was a message, there was a point they were trying to make. And then on top of it, what they did with the character, with Ellie, and then the other characters they introduced, it was shit. It was just shit. So, but anyways, getting back to the leaks, I saw the leaks. I'm sorry, I didn't see the leaks. I saw the review, and I think it looks really good. We got no problem with it. I'm just not going to pay for it. I'm not going to pay for this game. Like I said, I think that there are some people out there that are really going out of their way to say that this is totally worth $70 because of resources, because of whatever. And it's like, it's not so much as, is it going to be worth it? But it's like, did we need this? Did Naughty Dog need to do a Last of Us remake? No, they didn't. That game was totally fine where it was. Just let sleeping dogs lie. Take the win and move on. Now we know that The Last of Us TV show on HBO is coming out. I'm sure 100% that this remake had to do with that. They saw a way to get money. They knew that if the TV show comes out and it's a just total hit, normies love it. Okay, well, the normies that didn't play the first game, they're going to draw them in. If I had never heard of The Last of Us, And for some reason, I'm a gamer and I'm like, never played, never wanted to. And then I watch the show and I'm like, oh my God, I love this show. I'm like, oh, I want to go play the game. That's going to happen. That will absolutely, there are plenty of people out there that that's going to happen to. I think that is by definition a money grab. They're doing this for financial gain, not because they never got to make the game that they wanted. And it's like, really? Because that's not what you were fucking saying 10 years ago. You were saying that this game is the culmination of art, and we put so much work into it and these characters, and we work so hard, and to have this vision come to life is just, oh, it's so phenomenal. And it got all the praise in the world, rightfully so. And then to hear them come out 9 years later and be like, now we finally get to make the game that we always wanted to make. And it's like, bullshit. No. Don't even try that shit with me. You want to make some more money. That game has the selling power. It's a very strong IP. You can get people to buy that game, and if you can get it to coincide with this show, it's going to make you more money. And to say that, like, oh, it's worth it because they worked hard on it, and people worked so hard on this game and everything they did, it's worth the $70. Like, that's beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I said that wrong. It's all about what you think is worth your money, what is worth your time. If you've already played this game like me, to me, it's just not worth it. Now, and again, if people who say, no, it's totally worth it, I'm going to buy it first day one and I can't wait to play it, it's like, that's fine. That's cool. But just stop telling everyone else that it's not a cash grab. Stop telling everyone else that they're wrong. Stop telling everyone else that's like, oh my God, you guys can't appreciate blah, 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 blah. And you're eating the plate in front of you like a good consumer, like a good little consumer. Don't leave any scraps on the table. We got to make sure. And when we put the next plate in front of you now, we don't want to hear any questions. You just consume, all right? And if you don't, you're a bad fan. Fuck that. And I've heard the Naughty Dog defenders, and I've heard the arguments that are trying to be laid out that this game is totally worth it. It's like, no, it's not. No, I mean, let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. Not to me. It's not worth it to me. Maybe it's worth it to you. Maybe that $70 is like, that's fine. I'll totally play this game for the third or fourth time. I can't wait to play it on this new hardware. Okay, that's cool. But by definition, this was made to make money when it did not need to be. There was no need to. No one was asking for this. There was no one. I never heard that one time like, oh my God, I wish they would remake the first game, right? Because that game would just be epic to play again. I've already played it twice. And I've already bought it twice. I'm not going to buy it a third time. Not at fucking full price. That's not happening. So I think that this game, I think it's going to do just fine. I think it's going to make money for sure. Like I said, you already have the show coming out, and normies are going to get excited for it, and they're going to gravitate to buying this game. I think there's plenty of people, I've heard them, plenty of people who are like, can't wait to play it again. That's fine. They're going to make money, but I think that consuming this and defending it and going out of your way to tell everyone else that they're wrong, you're just being, in my opinion, you're just being a good little consumer. And the people who are out there, some people are getting heated over the shit, trying to just going out of their way to justify it. And it's like, that's you. That's fine. But that they're not doing this out of the goodness of their heart. I don't think anybody in Naughty Dog was like, oh my God, can we have another shot? We need a do-over. Can I get a third do-over? I want to do it a third time. I can't wait to do this the third time. And we're just going to rebuild it. We're just going to make it the exact same game. It's just going to look like it's supposed to be out on PS5. That's what we want to do. And I'm telling you, in the gaming space, no one was like, banging on the table with their consumer utensils. Like, we want Last of Us, remake it, remaster it. No one was asking for that shit. We've already had it. And it was fine. We've already paid for it. So, but, consumers are going to consume. Customers are going to be customers. I'm for now and forever will be a paying customer. And, I think there's more and more people, more and more normies they're through sleepwalking through the buffet line of consumerism. And that's a good thing, and I always encourage people, to pay attention to the entertainment, pay attention to what's going on, pay attention to real motivations, and don't just believe everything that the elites tell you, because the elites trying to make money. Really, that's really what they want to do. So, all right, I'm gonna wrap it up there. It's good to be back. I'm glad to be back in front of the camera again. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I hope you had a good time listening or watching. If you like the video, please subscribe to the video. Subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications for upcoming videos. If you think it was a good video, give it a thumbs up. And if you think someone else might like it, please share it with a friend. You have a great day or a great evening, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.